It's very much important for us to introduce ourselves to the world of Euclidean geometry. So before we get into the depth of Euclidean geometry, let's have a basic understanding of what exactly is Euclidean geometry, how it evolved, and what are its applications in our day-to-day lives. So, as this entire geometry is based on the principles of Euclid. Euclid was a Greek mathematician who believed in geometry. He was the one who combined all the laws of geometry into one subject, and so he is called as the father of this geometry. Euclid believed that the laws of nature are but the mathematical thoughts of God. So everything, every law that the nature puts before us are nothing but the mathematical thoughts of God. So we can represent everything mathematically. So he believed that we can represent everything mathematically. So before we go into the Euclidean geometry, let's try to first understand what do we mean by geometry. We have heard this word so many times, geometry, geometry, geometry. But now what exactly it is? We can actually split this entire term into two parts, geo and metry. Now what do we mean by geo? Geo means earth, the earth which we are living in. So geo means earth and metry is measurement. So geo means earth and metry means measurement. When we combine both these terms, what we get is geometry as a measurement of earth. So the crude meaning of geometry is it is the measurement of earth. Now geometry appears to have originated from the need for measuring land. As we have seen that geometry means measurement of earth. Earth is nothing but land. In some terms we denote land by earth. So if we try to project it backwards, we see that geometry appears to have originated from the need for measuring land. People wanted to measure the length of their farms, the dimension of their houses. So we can conclude that geometry appeared from the need to measure land. Now present civilization faces so many problems, and due to these problems we come out with different solutions. In the same manner, our ancient civilizations faced several practical problems, and to solve these problems geometry was developed for different purposes. For example, if we look at the Egyptian civilization, now Egyptian civilization is a very ancient civilization, and in which people wanted to calculate the volumes of granaries. So granaries are the places where people used to store their harvest or the produce which they obtained from their farms. So they wanted to calculate the volumes of granaries. Similarly, they wanted to construct canals, and for that they needed geometry. Now you have also heard of that Egyptians were famous for the construction of pyramids. So again, pyramid is a geometrical figure, and for the construction of that they took the help of geometry. So geometry served many of the purposes of Egyptians. Similarly, we have the Indus Valley civilization. Archaeologists have studied the remains of the civilization, and they have found that the cities were highly developed and well planned. Roads were parallel to each other, and there was underground drainage system. Houses had many rooms, and this shows that they were skilled in mensuration, and mensuration is actually a part of geometry. So what we can say is that the people of Indus Valley civilization had a knowledge of geometry. That is why they were able to plan their cities and develop well planned roads. The roads were parallel to each other, and there was an underground drainage system. They built so many rooms in their houses, and all these things prove that they had the knowledge of geometry and they applied it to their day-to-day life. Now we have studied so much about the Vedic period in our history. Now the geometry of Vedic period consisted of construction of altars and fireplaces. History tells us that the people in Vedic period were very much into performing religious ceremonies, and for performing such religious ceremonies they needed altars and fireplaces. So for the construction of fireplaces they took the help of geometry. Similarly, look at this figure. This is known as Sri Yantra, and it was developed during the Vedic period. This Sri Yantra has got 9 isosceles triangles, and they are interwoven in such a manner that they produce 43 subsidiary triangles. This entire figure had great religious importance during the Vedic period, and this figure involves isosceles triangles. Now isosceles triangles are a part of geometry, and so we can say that people in Vedic period also had a knowledge of geometry. Now these civilizations made use of geometry but didn't follow any logic or reasoning. So all these civilizations, be it the Egyptian civilization or the Indus Valley civilization or the Vedic period, all these civilizations involved geometry, but they didn't follow any logic or reasoning. No general rules as such were developed during all these civilizations. So they simply evolved this mathematics because of the need to solve their problems. They didn't follow any logic and they didn't lay any general rules for that. But the Greeks were the first who were interested in finding the truth of statements, and they achieved it using the tool of deductive reasoning. So we can say that Greeks were the first who were really interested in finding the truth of statements, and they did this by using the tool of deductive reasoning. They actually went into the depth of the truth of such statements, and they tried to discover the truth behind such statements or such principles using the tool of deductive reasoning. So they believed that every phenomenon must have some reasoning involved, and this led the Greeks to evolve geometry as a particular science, as a particular field of mathematics. Now let's come to the Euclid of Alexandria. So the Euclid we are talking about is the Euclid of Alexandria, and he is known as the father of geometry. So Euclid, also known as the Euclid of Alexandria, was a Greek mathematician often referred to as the father of geometry. So the Euclid of Alexandria is known as the father of geometry. His Elements is one of the most influential works in the history of mathematics, serving as the main textbook for teaching mathematics, especially geometry, from the time of its publication until the late 19th or the early 20th century. So Euclid was a Greek mathematician who made a substantial contribution to this branch of mathematics, and his book Elements is one of the most influential works in the history of mathematics. Let me tell you, after Bible, this book has sold the maximum number of its copies. So we can say that Elements is one of the most influential works in the history of mathematics, and this book had immense importance from the time of its publication till the late 19th or the early 20th century. Now let's more explore into what is Euclid's Elements. Euclid's Elements is a mathematical and geometric treatise consisting of 13 books written by the Greek mathematician Euclid in Alexandria. So it consists of 13 books written by Euclid. The 13 books covered plane geometry, arithmetic and number theory, irrational numbers and solid geometry. So these 13 books on geometry covered plane geometry, arithmetic, number theory, irrational numbers and solid geometry. Also, it is a collection of definitions, postulates which are the axioms, propositions which are theorems and constructions, and mathematical proofs of these propositions. So this entire Elements is a collection of definitions, postulates, propositions and mathematical proofs of such propositions. Now let's see some of the applications of Euclidean geometry. Euclidean geometry is used to measure the distances and angles. So if we are to measure the distances and the angles, they actually involve the application of Euclidean geometry. In the determination of packaging arrangements, such as the problem of finding the most efficient packing of spheres in n dimensions. So if we have a box and we are to find out the optimum packing arrangement or the most efficient packing arrangement, then again such a thing would involve the application of Euclidean geometry. To analyze the focusing of light by lenses and mirrors. So whenever we want to view an object, then we can do it by lenses and mirrors, and again the focusing of such lenses and mirrors to view any object involves the application of Euclidean geometry. Also, geometry is used in art and architecture. Whenever we see a very beautiful building or a monument, and its construction involves the application of geometry. The water tower consists of a cone, a cylinder and a hemisphere. Its volume can be calculated using solid geometry. So this is actually an example that we have seen water tower, and it is used to store water. These water towers or the reservoirs are in a shape of a cone or a cylinder or a hemisphere. And when we try to calculate the volume of such figures, then it involves the application of solid geometry. Now, we have seen about the applications of Euclidean geometry. But now where does Euclidean geometry goes wrong? we have seen the pros of Euclidean geometry. Now we also need to see where this Euclidean geometry goes wrong. The one problem that some find with it is that it is not accurate enough to represent the three-dimensional universe that we live in. We know that we live in a three-dimensional universe. All the things, all the objects are oriented in a three-dimensional space, and the problem with Euclidean geometry is that it is not able to accurately represent three-dimensional universe. It has been argued that Euclidean geometry, while good for architecture and to survey land, when it is moved into the third dimension, the postulates do not hold up as well as those for hyperbolic or spherical geometry. Some people feel that Euclidean geometry is good for architecture and to survey land, that is when we are working in a plane. But when such postulates or propositions are projected into the third dimension or into the three-dimensional space that we live in, these postulates do not hold up as well as those of hyperbolic or spherical geometry. So spherical geometry and hyperbolic geometry is used in three-dimensional space. So this is one of the problems of Euclidean geometry. The other disadvantage of Euclidean geometry is that points at infinity cannot be modeled and are considered as special cases. The intersection of parallel lines at infinity is not easily modeled by the Euclidean geometry. So one more disadvantage of Euclidean geometry is that the points at infinity cannot be modeled by the Euclidean geometry and are considered as special case. So this was an introduction to Euclidean geometry. How this field of mathematics evolved, what are its advantages, and where are the points where it goes wrong.